Fragments of silicon. Fine connoisseurs of grass monkeys, apparently.
Wasn't expecting a Beastie Boys reference from you, but
It wasn't actually that. They revealed the new mythical Pokemon, and it's literally the third grass monkey Pokemon.
oh, I thought you said Brass Monkey.
Oh, I said grass. My friend has a Grookey, and its name is actually Funky because it's a reference to that.
I see. Anyway, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon, the European interviews. Joining us with us this week is Craig Sharp of Celestial. I hate it when I am on the wrong. Here we go. Celestial Gold Studios. Sorry about that. Or Greg.
Hello there.
Yeah. Yeah. So how are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
We're doing fine. We're doing fine. Right. So how we like to get started is we like to get to know the person behind the game, behind the studio, and we do that by asking you, how did you get interested in video games, both on a personal and a professional level?
On a personal level, I've been playing games since I was young, 10. First, it was the Master System, playing all those games with the Master System, and then the first game that really got to me emotionally, I suppose, would be Landstalker on the Mega Drive. So RPGs was my thing. And then I kind of disappeared from computer games for a long time until Final Fantasy VII came out. And I played that when I was a bit older, and it got me back into it again, and then became a big fan of God of War, and later Mass Effect and Knights of the Old Republic and stuff like that. Anything with a story, really.
Mm-hmm.
I just found that it was as powerful a medium as cinema is, if it's done right story wise. It's not just like for fun. It is an art form for me. Professionally, I've been coding kind of apps and stuff and that for a few years, and I've been a musician for a long time. So, in my last album release, we were contemplating doing an app or a kind of mini game on phone to promote the album. I was looking at a few people to help me with that, and it basically turned into a full-blown game. I decided if you're going to do something, you might as well do it right, because I've got a lot of story to tell, and I wanted to do something that was worth playing. It was going to maybe open people's eyes to a lot of stuff.
And that's how you decided to create a video game company?
Yes. So it was basically started as a kind of side thing for an album, for a music album, and then we decided to go fully into it and start a games company and promote the music while we were making the game as well. So we've got an original soundtrack. It's a good platform to promote all the music from the record label as well.
Mm-hmm. So this project of yours is using music from your latest. Is it just your latest album, or is it?
No, it's the whole record label. Everything that's been on the record label, all the different acts and stuff that are on it, are going to get a platform on this game. There's a lot of good music on this label I'm on. It's Rubber Taxi Records from Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
And all the older stuff that I've done in the past as well. I've been in and out of bands and stuff like that from, 1999. So it's been a long time.
That is quite a distance in time. Like,
yes.
I didn't feel that far away, but it's that far away.
Is that far away? It doesn't really feel like it, but I must be getting old.
Well, I mean, objectively speaking, 99 was 21 years ago.
Yes, I know.
Anyway, so in terms of the game you're making here, it's called Kung Fu Jesus. And
yes.
First of all, I have to ask about the title. Is the Kung Fu Jesus here metaphorical? Or, I mean, are you actually playing as Jesus who knows the Kung Fu?
Well, you'll just need to play it and find out. But Kung Fu Jesus is the name of the musical act, actually. That's where the title came from. But in the game, it's debatable whether he's Jesus or not. As you go through, you'll find out if he is or not. You know what I mean? But Kung Fu Jesus is also a reference to Bruce Lee, because there's a lot of MMA guys that kind of called him Kung Fu Jesus as a kind of slagging term, because he never had an actual professional fight. But I think it's a term of endearment, really, because he's basically the one that started the whole mixed martial arts thing and the cross training. So he's actually in the game as somebody called the White Wind. So there's a reference to him and his philosophies and stuff. So it's a kind of homage to Bruce Lee.
Yeah. Not surprising. I mean, it'd probably be easier to name the martial arts thing that didn't have Bruce Lee as an influence in
True.
some way.
Very true.
You know, and okay. In terms of what this game is, as I understand it, it's a brawler.
Well, it's more than that. It's just that's the first term that the working with another PR company, they wanted to go with the beat 'em up thing. That's good. The start element is it's a beat 'em up game, like it's kind of side scrolling. I suppose the first base would be Streets of Rage kind of based, but there's loads more in it. There's like projectile. You can unlock special moves, so it becomes like there's projectiles, magic and stuff you can use, like lightning attacks and stuff like that, and there's shields you can activate, and it becomes a bit more than a beat 'em up later. And there's a lot of RPG elements, so it's very story based. So you're going and chatting to NPCs all the time, so you can unveil the story and move the game on. And there's a lot of mini games as well.
Like, what type of mini games?
There's a bit of driving in it. There's some you can control some spaceships in it later on. There's a bit tower defense in it as well. Just kind of because one of the biggest influences when I was younger was the Final Fantasy VII game, which had loads of mini games in it. So there's loads of stuff like that, and there's kind of like a battleship bit in it and stuff as well. I just thought I would go for that because that was like a very interesting experience for me as a young gamer. Because usually the games back then were sticking to one genre and they didn't really delve into other types of gameplay. So I thought it would be a good idea.
I mean, I can definitely see where you're coming from, though. You know, that's not exactly as novel an idea as it, today as it was, but say back around the time of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, I know that. Things have come on a long way. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
I quite like the thing in Shenmue as well, because there's an arcade game in that, and you get to go and play the arcade games, and it's like an side thing. There's a bit of that in it as well. So there's a couple of arcade games you can play, and it's like pixel art games, so you get to play a couple of levels of that in it as well, just as a kind of side thing.
I remember Shenmue. I remember the arcade being the best part of the game, quite honestly.
Aye. Aye, some people don't like it, but it was all right. Did you hear how much money he raised on Kickstarter to make the third one?
Yeah, I heard how much money it made on Kickstarter, and I heard how much it underperformed as well.
Is it not done very well?
Yeah, hard to say, but it's clearly underperformed. But that's kind of a discussion outside the scope of this interview. Yeah,
it's okay.
And I suppose my next question is the psychedelia encountered in this game. What's the thematic relevance, if any, to Kung Fu Jesus, or is that just an aesthetical choice?
No. In the game, he's actually, I don't know, I suppose it's based on life experiences. He does take magic mushrooms and stuff. So it's related to that. And obviously, I have taken stuff like that in the past, and I know the world gets a lot brighter when you take hallucinogenics. So I've kind of tried to incorporate reflect that in the visuals to make it quite bright, and the contrasts are very strong because that's what the world looks like when you're looking through eyes that are tripping. Right. So in the game, he actually does. He takes he eats psilocybin mushrooms to build up his health regeneration, and he eats flyagaric mushrooms to build up his maximum health, stuff like that. And then you get to meet a lot of the what they call power plant gods. So you meet Mr. Mushroom, who's like a flyagaric he's the consciousness of the fly agaric mushroom, and you meet Aya, who's the consciousness of ayahuasca and stuff like that. Different, and also I decided to put in a toad god. Have you heard Mike Tyson talk about the toad that he met when he smokes the toad?
Not offhand, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's a thing that he mentioned.
I think he done it last year, and he smoked I think it's Bufo alvarius toad poison, and then he came out of his body. It's like 5 ml DMT, and then he says he spoke to this kind of toad god. So you've got to see the toad god and somebody who looks like Mike Tyson as well.
I'm like, does he solve mysteries?
I like that cartoon, man. It's quite funny. Mike Tyson mysteries, man, brilliant.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's quite funny, man. It's funny seeing Mike Tyson in a cartoon.
Yeah, it's better than I thought it would be. Yeah.
I know. It's a total piss take, but it's quite funny.
I think that was what they were going for.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, in the terms of the combat system, how deep are the mechanics here? Like, is it a simple brawler? Is it like you press 2 buttons and that's it, or is there some sort of like combo system, chaining system, that kind of thing?
Yes, there's a combo system in it. So you basically start off with your punch combo, which is just the 1 button, and your kick combo, and you've got a backflip button and a block button. And then later on, you unlock different combos. So you need to chain the different button combos together. They both, and that's basically become more powerful when you do that. So you unlock quite a lot of combos later on in the game, and then there'll be like magic combos as well later. So doing a certain sequence of button presses will release a combo followed by a magical attack, which is like a big hitting attack. So yeah, it's a bit deeper than just punch, kick.
Yes, punch, kick. It's all in the mind.
Yes.
Let's see. And in terms of the magic here, is it chi?
It's a yin yang energy. So yeah, it's basically chi energy. Yeah, same thing. You get to control different characters later as well.
I see. And I'm not sure how much you can talk about the other characters, but who else would you be playing in this game?
Oh, you get to play as the White Wind, who's looks like Bruce Lee. So you get to play as him. You get to play as Fenrir, the Wolf Dragon, as well. Don't ask me how he fits into the story, but I'll unveil itself.
I won't. And who's the opposing force? Who are these people fighting? And
well, it depends on what. There has got to be 3 story parts as well. So depending on what story part you take is depending on what enemies you'll face. But obviously, if you're Kung Fu Jesus, you've got to fight somebody who resembles Satan at some point. You know what I mean? It's quite a basic choice. I thought that one. You've got to fight Satan at some point. But there's a lot of AI kind of stuff in it as well. I don't want to say too much. There's a race of beings that are in cahoots with Satan.
I'm like, yeah, there's a lot to take in here.
Yes, I know. People have been telling me it's a very complicated story, but it makes sense. It's based on a lot of the stuff that I've been reading about the alternative histories and the conspiracy theories and stuff. So I've tied that into the story, and it's basically, if you're ever into Gaia TV or anything like that, it kind of runs along those lines of what they say is happening in the universe.
Oh, so the Earth is hollow, and the Earth is flat as well.
It's not flat. No, I'm not taking the flat Earth thing. Maybe a bit of hollow Earth.
Right.
I don't actually incorporate the hollow Earth into it, but the kind of beings like the Draconian Empire and are involved in it. Like David Icke always talking about the reptilians. So I decided to put them in.
I see. And I'm sure the Illuminati's lurking in the background somewhere.
Of course. They've got to be in there, yes.
And the Knights Templar and the Majestic 12.
There is the Knights Templar in it as well, yes. I've got to have like a few of the old Knights Templar
Yeah, regular conspiracy kitchen sink.
Oh, pretty much, yes.
Uh, and let me see here. Um, in terms of the religiosity of the title, um, aside from the whole Jesus connotation, is there a lot of Christian iconography in the game?
Well, I suppose so, yeah. You've got Father Son, who is basically a representation of God or any other god in it, or the other religions. Like you could, like Brahma out of Hinduism was like the represented as the sun disk. So that's like the sun god, and then you've got Ra, who's the sun god from Egyptology, and yeah, Allah is the same. You know, they all seem to end in A. You know what I mean? And then you've got Jah, and it's all kind of sun symbolism and stuff. And a lot of people have trying to decode the Bible, saying that basically the whole Jesus story and that is all sun symbolism anyway. So you've got Father Son representing the solar energy or God, Godhead, the Creator God, and I suppose it goes into it's trying to link all the kind of religions together. So you kind of, you know what I mean. So you've got Jupiter and all this kind of stuff. So there's certain people that represent certain consciousness of different planets and planets and stuff. You know, I know it sounds complicated, but it makes sense. Trust me.
I suppose I suppose I have to because this game. Like, how far along is this game?
Well, I've nearly finished story branch number 1, and basically it goes up to a certain point, and then it branches off into 3 different stories. So I reckon the story branches and stuff will be finished by June, July, and then it'll be 3 months of tidying everything up, and that's ready to go. Making sure it's all debugged. I would like to do it more like Nintendo does it. I don't really want to put it in the early access when the game's not complete. I would like it to be as complete as possible when it's on release, because I know people kind of been moaning about that in general. When they're taking the beta testing and then they're playing the game and it's not finished and there's finding bugs everywhere and it's not really what I want to put out. I want to put out a complete game as soon as it's ready. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to go back and like patch it all the time. I'd only update it if there's got to be extra story content and stuff.
There are different approaches to this. I suppose a question in relation to that is there going to be any multiplayer in this game?
There's no multiplayer, no.
Okay. I mean,
maybe something to look at in the future, though.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big reason why a lot of games have betas, because they got to make sure the multiplayer is working properly.
No, definitely. I understand that, yeah. Because they can't really test it properly unless they get it on a beta testing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can find out where all the bugs are when there's loads of people online. But there's not got to be any multiplayer at the start anyway. So I just like to keep it a kind of single player action RPG sort of thing.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And given it's a single player game, there's definitely less need for a beta test. So
I think so, yeah.
Anyway, so how big is this game supposed to be in terms of playing through a branch? Like, is this a game that's going to last 8 hours or 80 hours?
Somewhere in the middle, I'm hoping. I'm guessing a story branch will hopefully last anywhere between 6 to 10 hours, and there's got to be 3. So I'm going for about anywhere between 25 to 30 hours of gameplay.
Oh, that's quite sizable.
Yes, aye, agreed. I've also, I don't know if anybody's told you, but the main aim is to have like a map, right? So anytime you finish one of the story branches and it releases a third of this map, and when it's all released, you'll get a map that shows you somewhere in the real world, and there'll be a treasure buried if you can be bothered to go and find it, which will be a substantial price. So it'll be like a bit of jewellery or something like that, maybe celestial gold jewellery.
I recall them doing something like that once.
Yes, a long time ago.
Particularly well.
It didn't go particularly well.
Yeah.
Well, so what?
Right.
I'm not saying it couldn't be done. I think the last time it was a tie-in with a movie that didn't do well too, so that didn't help.
Well, it doesn't really need to go that well. It just needs one person to go and get it. There's only got to be one thing.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of people, like, how many people are working on this game right now?
There's 4 all in, so I've got three people working at the moment. One guy I call in now and again to help me with the mini games and stuff. I've got a guy from Osarian Games who's helping me with the beat 'em up engine, and I've got a guy from Tony Lee from Pixel Crushers who's helping me with the save system and stuff. He's worked on some big games in the past.
Like, yeah, 4 people on a game like this, that's quite the sizable challenge.
Oh, it is a challenge, definitely.
Yeah. And going back to like the initial line of questioning, how's it been creating your first video game? Is it as difficult as you thought it would be? Is it as easy?
It's probably some days it's easy, some days it's extremely difficult, man. It can be extremely frustrating. The debugging is a real pain in the ass, to be honest. It really is a pain in the ass, but it has to be done. Sometimes when it's all coming together, man, you get a good feel for it, man. It feels great, you're doing the right thing. But sometimes when you're just having to find all the errors and debug it, and it's not working for you, it can be very, very frustrating. But it's all in all, it's definitely worthwhile.
That's good to hear. I'm like, trust me, these are words we have heard on the show before. Like,
yes. Agreed.
It's like, I don't think I've met a game dev who said this was going to be easier than they thought. Like,
no, definitely not, man. It's a very stressful experience, and I feel for people. Like, see some of these big studios that have got like 50, 60 people working on it, and they've spent like 4 years trying to develop a game, and then they bring it out and people pan it. Like Anthem, for instance, it must have been like heartbreaking for the guys that are making that. And anything like that, you know what I mean? Because my hat goes off to anybody that tries to make a computer game, because it's difficult and it takes a lot of work.
Definitely. I mean, and it doesn't even have to be a big AAA game. We've had people on the show here who have, they're like 3-4 people, and they've spent 5 years or so working on this one thing. Like, and sometimes those things don't do so well.
I know, man. I know. I was reading an article about a team that were working on a game for like 3-4 years, and they never even managed to get it out, and they were attending all these game expos and stuff, trying to get like a publisher on board, and nobody was taking them on board, and they just ran out of money, and then they couldn't finish the project.
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm hoping that doesn't happen with a game called The Last Night. Have you seen the trailer for that?
Sounds familiar. I think I might have seen that, but
it's a pixel art game, but it's kind of 3D at the same time. It looks really beautiful. It's on Raw Fury, and one of the reasons I started to do the game dev in the first place, and I think he's coming into a lot of problems, and I don't even know if he's got to get it finished or not, which would be a total shame.
Yeah,
it's kind of sad to hear stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. I'm like I said, we've had people on the show where they faced that situation where their project just didn't make it. And now, in terms of your game, are you self-publishing, or do you have a publisher lined up?
I think I'll self-publish, and then if a publisher wants to come along later, then maybe we can sign up with them. But I don't really want anybody getting in the way of what I want to put out, because it's got to be one of the craziest games ever made. That's the only thing I can promise. I don't know if it's got to be any good, but I'll definitely be fucking crazy.
I can definitely believe that. I mean,
yes.
Granted, I can also see a couple of publishers picking this up. Like, if Devolver Digital were to publish Kung Fu Jesus, I wouldn't bat an eye.
Aye, okay. They do like their kind of katana wielding games. I played Katana Zero, man. That was a really good game.
Yeah, they put that one out. They put out the Hotline Miami games.
Yes. I like Devolver Digital. They put out some really nice looking games, man.
Yeah. But,
aye.
It's like Raw Fury comes to mind as well. It's like, so it's not without outside the realm of possibility to see Kung Fu Jesus picked up by a publisher for I'd assume the a potential console release.
Yes.
Oh. Because as I understand it, Kung Fu Jesus here is PC only at the moment.
I was going for PC first with a Mac release in Linux as well. That's the easiest way to go. And then later, after it's been out for a few months, I was going to get it out in PS4 and Xbox One. And then possibly, I don't know if it'll go on Nintendo Switch. I'm not sure. I would like it to go on Nintendo Switch, but it's not as powerful a machine as the other two.
Right. And like, what sort of specs are you targeting in terms of like the PC?
Well, it's getting developed on a NVIDIA 1050 Ti, so I know for a fact that it works on that pretty well with high frame rates. And I suppose the graphics card down from that would work as well. 8 gig of memory, and that's pretty much it. I think. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, is that somebody's phone?
Apologies.
I mean, there are ways to get games to work on the Nintendo Switch, even if they're, high powered. I mean, we've got like The Witcher 3 on the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, well, it should work then. I just need to get the right team to basically recode it for it, like develop it for the Nintendo Switch. You can hire companies for that anyway.
Yeah.
Something to look for in the future. I would like to get it on Nintendo Switch. It seems to be a good platform for indie games.
It does. I mean, a lot of indies have found success on the platform. Like, it's just, I suppose, like, the biggest concern with Kung Fu Jesus and the Nintendo Switch is that name. Like, I'm not sure how the console makers would take to, having such an overt religious reference in a title.
Do you think it would take it badly?
Possibly.
I don't think so, but you can never be sure.
Yeah, it's like,
it's okay.
I personally don't know, but I definitely, it's definitely the kind of thing that would be a concern for them. I could see.
Yeah, like
sometimes they have very strict standards about weird things.
But on the other hand, we've got things like the Binding of Isaac on consoles these days.
Yes, okay.
So
I don't see why it would be a problem, considering some of the violence in the games. It's not really that violent.
Companies
comic book violence.
Companies are weird about this stuff. Like, one thing is perfectly okay, another thing is completely verboten. Like, it's like, we don't know. Like, we don't really know what the console people have as their standards and practices.
Yes, okay. Well, look, there's only one way to find out, and
Yeah. Now, are you working on all 3 computer builds simultaneously, or are you like doing the Windows build first with Mac and Linux like behind that?
Well, I'm doing it on Unity, so pretty much you build it, and then you just select the option to build it either for Windows, Mac, or Linux, and then it builds it for you.
Yep.
So it's easy that way.
That sounds about right. That's a lot of Unity stuff, and it is good to hear that you're supporting Linux, because that is not a thing that always gets supported.
No, agreed. I don't know how many Linux gamers are out there, but I would like to support it, just so I can get to as many people as possible.
Yeah. I mean, the answer seems to be not that many, but boy, are they loud. Like, they certainly...
Glad to hear it.
It's like Linux gamers are very, very loud about the fact that they are Linux gamers. Probably because there are not so many of them. But
okay.
Let me see. Now, going back to the combat system, music seems to be a big part of this game.
Yes.
Not just in terms of making the action scenes flourish and all that stuff, but is the music going to be incorporated into the gameplay? Like, do you time your kung fu combos to the music?
No. Somebody suggested that. I don't really want to go down that route, I don't think.
Fair enough. I mean, there are different kinds of rhythms, and no, you don't have to do that all the time. No.
It could be a kind of mini game or something like that. I was keeping it in mind. It seems to be quite a trend in games these days. kind of beat rhythm games like Beat
Certainly.
Saber and stuff like that. But I don't know. I would like to keep the workload to as minimal as possible because I think I've taken on enough as it is, to be honest.
Maybe for a sequel or DLC down the line or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. But
is that something you would like to see in the game?
Personally, no. I hate rhythm games, but I'm sure
that says it all for me. Then it's not getting in the game.
I mean, I just hate them in general because I'm not.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm sure a lot of other people. It's like I'm like the worst person to ask about that particular thing.
No, you're the best person to ask. You've made my mind up. I don't want to do it now. If you hate it, man, that's good enough for me.
Fair enough. But now, how many mini games are in this total? Like, is it 10, 20?
No, I know that many. Is about maybe 6. Well, there's a 7 actually, because there's a portal section as well. Like it goes interdimensional, so you're basically sitting in the kind of normal world at the start, and then you go through portals, and it takes you into like a different dimension, and that's why there's so many different like kind of places in the game as well. And then, so it's like what would you call it? It's just you get through a portal and you can collect items. Going through the portal, make sure you don't crash into anything. It's just I thought it would break the gameplay up a little bit, and the portals are very, very trippy as well.
Yeah, they remind me of Andy the Asteroids. Like,
okay.
Like that's from Earthworm Jim.
Earthworm Jim, man, that was a great game.
Like you remember the tunnels that you would go through during the planet sequences?
Yes, I do. It's like that. Yeah, you're right enough.
Yeah, and in terms of the combat, is this based off of real-world kung fu or any type of fighting style, or is it a bit more abstract?
A lot of the moves in it are stuff that you can perform in a fight, yes. There's a lot of kind of low kicks, and there's proper combinations in it as well, and there's a bit more... some of the combos you unlock later are a bit more hard to believe, but that's when you get stronger and get magical powers, then you can do these things. But as a basic level, a lot of the moves you can use. I'm looking to get a grappling system in later as well. So I've got Mikkel working on the grappling system, so you'll be able to do throws and stuff as well. I'm not sure if I'll go into the ground. If it was going to go into the ground a little bit, it'd probably be just get into mount and then a couple of punches and then standing up again. But it's something to look at, but there'll be a few judo throws and stuff like that as well.
I'm like... That sounds very MMA-ish.
Yes. So I've done mixed martial arts for years, so it's kind of an influence there, yeah. So there's a lot of low kicks, a lot of Thai boxing kind of in it as well, but there's loads of stuff like side kicks, a lot of Bruce Lee stuff as well.
And in terms of your own MMA experience, like what style do you fight? Or you use?
I actually started doing Jeet Kune Do in Glasgow, which is like Bruce Lee's kind of philosophy of martial arts. And that took me to meet a guy called James Doolan. James Doolan is one of the most respected coaches in Europe, and I trained with him for years. He's got a team called the Dinky Ninja Fight Team. They've got a couple of UFC fighters now, a guy called Stevie Ray and a guy called Danny Henry. And Joanne Calderwood as well came out with the DNFT. So I was kind of tied with them for a few years. Maybe doing the professional fighting training for 7 years, maybe.
Did you ever make it to like?
I had 3 fights.
What was your record?
3-0.
Well, that's good. That's good.
But it wasn't. I get injured a lot of the time, man. See, MMA fight training. Honestly, it is a very, very difficult life. So
I believe it.
I don't know if I would recommend it to people.
I'm like, not for me. Like, and it's not just MMA fighting training, like boxing training. Like, I'm like a lot of martial arts, pure martial arts training. Like, my uncle does Aikido, and he's got a lot of damage from that.
Yeah, because a lot of throws in that. Usually stuff like judo and kind of the sambo wrestling and stuff like that, you pick up a lot of injuries, especially in knees and shoulders.
Right.
A lot of the locks will if somebody puts it on too hard, man, you're basically you're dislocating your shoulder or your elbow or something like that, man. It can be painful.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Like, I assume that the people who engage in these things really do enjoy it.
Well, most of them do. Some of them don't.
Well, granted, there are martial arts out there where they have to learn it, like the Israeli, I forget what it's called, but
Krav Maga.
Yeah, it's like all the Israeli military people have to learn that as part of their training.
I'd imagine it would be essential if you're going to go into combat, a life or death situation. So,
no doubt,
it's a must.
No doubt. And let's see. Well, I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues here to see if they have any more questions for you.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty much good. I had a vague question about that old CGI Adult Swim Xavier Archangel or whatever cartoon, and how just mentioning that the aesthetic is kind of about as weird as that, which is high praise if you're going for a weird aesthetic, I think. But that's about all I had.
Yeah, you mean Xavier Renegade Angel?
That one, yeah.
Anyway, Petty?
I think all mine have been answered.
Yeah. Are you still there, Craig?
No, yeah, I'm still here, yeah.
Yeah.
Just listening.
Okay, I'm like, so...
Yeah, it looks interesting, and I hope it comes out well.
Yeah.
Me too.
Indeed. And I suppose...
I'll be doing my best to make it the best experience possible.
It seems like you are aiming to do so, and we hope it comes out well. I suppose my final question about Kung Fu Jesus here is, have you sorted out any sort of pricing yet?
It'll be fairly cheap. I was wanting to bring it out at £12.21. Which is but numerology, it's supposed to be the actual real birthday of Jesus Christ. He was supposed to be born on the winter solstice, 2112. So that's why.
I see. Not the first time I've ever heard the price point being a reference to something.
Why not? I think it'd be good. I've been looking at other games, like indie games that are quite successful and fairly big. Yeah, they all kind of come in at the price range of like £15-16 or dollars. So I thought the best thing to do if I was going to do it would be round about that price. And the numerology thing, I think it can only bring good stuff. So I decided to have a reference to Jesus' real birthday, which is the winter solstice. From
what I understand, it's best you set that as the sale price, because making that the base price causes a lot more hassle than it's worth.
Also, a lot of people will just be waiting until it's on sale anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. True. Yeah. Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
Okay. Anyway, well, Craig, thank you for being on our program. It was lovely having you.
Thank you for asking
me.
me.
No problem. No problem. Keeping an eye out on your game, and maybe we'll be reviewing it when it comes out.
Nice one.
Yeah. And, maybe we'll have you back on the program whenever your next project is ready to be talked about.
Okay.
Anyway, until then, the game is Kung Fu Jesus. It's currently, I think, it's available for, wish listing on Steam.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's targeted for 2020, so keep an eye out for it. Anyway, so that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. Be sure to join us for our Sunday review show, and until then, I shall wish you good gaming.